Hello and welcome to Let's Play Cave Story. This is the introductory episode of what's going to be a reasonably long series as I take you through one of, if not the best, at least the most significant indie games of all time. Cave Story is kind of like, like the Beatles' Abbey Road of indie games. It's one of those ones that always comes up in conversation when you're referring to the landmarks of the genre, or if you don't think indie games are a genre, then the industry, or the indie-street. Anyway, if you're not familiar, Cave Story was released in 2004, and it's unusual, or at least remarkable in the sense that it is entirely the product of one man known as Pixel. I think his real name is Daisuke Amaya. But in any case, it billed as an homage to classic platformers like Metroid and Castlevania, but it's so adept at paying tribute to these classics that it actually is almost indistinguishable from them. This feels like a game that could have come out 20 years ago, and I mean that in absolutely the best sense of the word. It's challenging. The controls are tight. It's simple on the outset, but also has a great degree of complexity to it. I feel like I'm gushing out of control here, but anyway, the soundtrack is fantastic. It's just a great platformer, one of the best I've ever played in my life. So if you've been following, there was a little bit of a story, and then we took over as our silent protagonist, also known as Quote. And through a little bit of exploring, we were able to avoid some enemies, and then pick up the Polar Star, which will serve as our weapon for the first fair bit of the game. We head back to this fellow Kazuya, who is trying to find someone named Sue by surfing the internet. I wonder, he sounds like a lonely guy. I wonder if he's checked Craigslist. So the game really doesn't waste time in giving you this weapon, which is good because it'll allow me to introduce the collectibles that you can find. So those yellow triangles that enemies spit out are experience for your weapons. So unlike your average RPG, the experience that you get doesn't go to your person, it goes to your weapons. So your weapons can level up between 1, 2, and 3, and of course they get more powerful as you go along. The catch here is that experience isn't permanent. As soon as you get hit, you lose experience on whatever weapon you're holding, and then you have to rebuild it from the ground up. What sounds like a frustrating concept is actually not, because experience comes so frequently that usually it's not a problem to build it back up quickly, and it doesn't take a lot to get to level 3, especially as you progress in the game. The enemies drop more and more experience, obviously, but of course you have more and more weapons to fill up as well. So now I've reached level 2 on my Polar Star, and it's time for us to advance to the world that will kind of serve as the hub. But first, a little bit more of a story section. Again, Kazuya is so hungry. He just needs a girl to cook and clean for him. Sue, where are you? He's gonna resort to eating the cockroaches. Man, I've been there, man. I know how it feels. So yes, the Mamiga village we enter now. This town inhabited entirely by these, anthropomorphic rabbits. These characters we have not been introduced to yet, but the one on the left is King. He is the chief of this village, as you might expect by his name. The one on the right is Toroko. It's a comely young Mamiga woman, Mamiga female of a receptive age, based on the way King acts to her, we can assume, or feels about her, as is revealed later on in the story. King is trying to persuade Toroko to give over some kind of key, but a key to what? We don't necessarily know yet. So we'll abandon King up there and just presume that he's dead. I probably should have talked to him to get a little bit of an introduction, but in any case, I will have to serve as your narrator. We come over here and we see something a little bit shiny in the water. So we know that Sue is in Arthur's house, and that Sue just kind of randomly washed up here. Some people say she's a Mamiga. King says she isn't. It's a mystery that needs to be revealed. So we examine with the shiny spot, and we get this silver locket, which is of absolutely no significance to us, at least as far as we know. But, literally, in a minute or two, we'll be in a position to leverage that for some kind of expansion in terms of the game. And again, we go back to the King and Toroko drama. King, for being the chief of this village, is really easily overpowered by this, like, teenage girl. At least, I'm kind of being a bit assumptive with the ages here, but, you know, in any case, I assume she's a teenage girl. He's supposed to be the king of the village. How is he going to protect these people? So we'll go, hey, check out this save spot, and, you know, if I had lost any health, I could regenerate my health here. I always practice safe saving in games like this. I grew up being a little bit loose with my saving practices, and it always did me wrong. I always ended up getting hurt in the end. So yes, now I am always a diligent saver. I like to protect my assets. None of that was a double entendre, but it all came out like that. I would apologize if I didn't know that you guys were enjoying it so thoroughly right now. So now we will make our way down, or sorry, no, we will make our way up to Yamashita Farm. And in Yamashita Farm, basically the only reason we're going here right now is to pick up another life capsule, which will increase our maximum life. There's a number of these scattered throughout the game, and these make up one of the main collectibles that you can find. I'm honestly not sure how many of them there are, but I'm going to do my best to actually get them all during this playthrough, just so, you know, you can see where they are. So many cave story let's plays that I'd like to do something to, you know, compete or at least distinguish myself from amongst the pack. So there's a sprinkler, as you can see, of literally no significance to us yet, but maybe later in the game that will be a valuable item. And of course those life capsules are really reminiscent of games like, you know, Castlevania or the Mega Man series or Metroid, where there's all sorts of upgrades for your person hidden around the levels. So we enter into this seemingly empty shack, and then Taroko jumps out and attacks us, but is, you know, summarily silenced by one shot from our Polar Star. And of course we have to come out and say, you know, we're just the silent protagonist, we're not a bad guy, we're on the good side. Now we've been introduced to the character of the Doctor, albeit in an extraordinarily vague way. The Doctor will serve as the main antagonist throughout the story, but we won't really get in contact with him until a fair bit of the way through the story. For the meantime, we will be dealing with two of his flunkies who will be appearing any second now, I believe. Yep, literally any second now. So busting through that door is the giant bar of soap or lunchbox, I'm not really sure which one, known as Balrog, who's kind of the stupid muscle of the Doctor's crew. And then of course we have Misery, who serves as the magician, or the brains of the operation, if you will. Well, I guess the Doctor's the brains of the operation, but she's like she's the second in command, let's put it that way, if there was to be a chain in command. So Misery makes a grave error here, thinks that Taroko is Sue, and, you know, shoots out a bubble to kidnap her. Pretty much the standard way that all kidnappings happen in the United States, which is why there's such a problem in this day and age. But in any case, you've got us and Balrog here. You know, you kind of sympathize with Balrog. I mean, he found Taroko, and now he's not getting any credit for it. He has to stay here and probably get his ass kicked by us. I mean, they gave us a choice of dialogue there. We could have said, no, we're not going to fight you with this gun. And, you know, if you do that, he just leaves. But where's the fun in that? We might as well at least get some experience. And this is an incredibly easy boss fight, so we'll just take him out. So, of course he says, just you wait, because we'll be seeing him again a handful of times. And again, in that typical kind of retro game fashion where you oftentimes fight the same boss with, you know, several different forms over the course of an entire game. So, with this part of the game done, this first part of the game, and the plot sort of set up, I will come back here and again, practice safe saving. Always practice safe saving. And then we will end this part of the Let's Play, and I will see you in the next one, where we will get a little bit further into the story, and hopefully pick up some new weapons and some new characters. Thanks for watching, guys.